because people are choosing the haram means to get married, and also they're not, maintaining their marriage. You can't just buy a vehicle and never put oil in your vehicle. You have to look after. You have to service it. You have to look every single day. You got to make sure you treat it right for it to be working right. So therefore, when it comes to marriage, like it's the fault of the people why they're not, one way or another, why they're not staying together. Do you get me? Because if we have Sahaba that married and they weren't attracted to each other at all, but it was only the religion that brought them together, how were they compatible then? Because the deen is the most thing that we have to be compatible upon, isn't it? So, we're looking at the root cause. Then we got to think to ourselves, okay, so what if women, are you saying that majority of women are widowed and divorced? Is that what you're trying to say? Because the people that I counsel, majority of the women are in happy marriages. They're not even in a bad marriage, but they want to make sure that their career and is they haven't left their career and they've stayed true to their career, but they haven't stayed true to their deen. And Allah has made a pact, a covenant with all of us, to worship Him and not ascribe anything to no shirk at all, no partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And we have to worship Him, meaning it's already difficult in the day and age that we're living in to worship Allah properly. So why wouldn't we put ourselves in situations that make it a lot easier for us to worship Him?
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like, I don't understand why. Like, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but the basic principle is that a woman should stay at home, and not stay at home as in like locked up in her bedroom. Like, she can go outside, she can meet her friends, she can go to the masjid, she can do, like, do them kind of things, their activities, no problem. But to preserve her hayat, why does she need to go to work? Like, and it's the same sister that said earlier that women, as long as you go, if you're free mixing at work, as long as you're doing it in respectively. I don't understand how a person respectively sins. Like, can anyone explain to me how you respectively sin? I'm just gonna respectfully go to the club, like, you get me? I'm respectively gonna commit zina today, like, respectively though. It don't make any sense. Do you get me? What do you mean? I wish I could do that. Who's me? What do you mean? I wish I could do that? Like, I don't know. Like, again, I'm not trying to make everyone like. I understand the situation.
I see. So this sister, I get what she's saying, because she's been in the lives.
She's saying, can I come up?
Huh?
She's saying, can I come up to explain? What do you need to explain in it? Like, you said, I'm not even trying to refute you, sister, man. May Allah reward you. May Allah give us all hidayah and yourself. Like, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just trying to say, like, those certain things that you said. Yeah, I think you're here now as well. Uh-oh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, brothers?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Firstly, can I just say, Allahumma barik, this has been a really, really beneficial live. I think everybody in the comments as well can agree that we've really, really learnt a lot from you, brother. Allahumma barik. So jazakallah khair for that, because it's been a while since I've personally heard, such nuggets of knowledge and deen and stuff. So jazakallah khair. I just wanted to clarify what I was saying, since I think it was misunderstood. You mentioned something about working and about sisters who, and you did say that, I know there are some sisters who are widows or are single moms and they have to go out and work and everything, but it's not compulsory for a woman to work, which is fair enough, I totally agree with that. What I was trying to say was that it's not necessary that when a woman speaks to a man, that she's free mixing with him. When you're in a work, I'll give you an example of myself, right? So I'm working, I'm a single mom, and I'm working because I have to work. I go to work, I interact with men on a need-to-know basis. So for example, if I'm working with somebody, I need a bit of information, I will have to go to that man on that side and I will have to speak to him about a case or a family that I'm working with. That doesn't mean that I'm free mixing with him. Now, the way that the way that it came across was as if when you go to work and you speak to men, that's free mixing. That's what I understood from it, which is why I was saying that at the end of the day, every interaction is not free mixing with a man.
So
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, let me explain it to you, sister. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I did say to everyone that, look. So for example, a man. I'll give it to you this way. Allah says, "Al-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa." The men they're the ones who are the protectors and sustainers over the women, over women.
Of course, yeah.
So cool. So we understand that the obligation of providing for the family is definitely upon the man. Yeah.
100%.
So that means that if we're living in the West now, and there might be a job that you have, let's say for example you're working at Tesco's, right?
Yeah.
The better place to work is somewhere where it's, there's no alcohol or pork involved. But because it might be difficult for a man to find a job, he has to take that and always have the intention to find something better. Yeah. Now he may have to interact with women in that job, but it's obligatory upon him to work and provide. So therefore, sometimes it's okay. Yeah. Now, when it comes to a woman, a woman is different to a man. It's not obligatory for her to work. And like I said before, there's no difference of opinion upon amongst any of the ulama in regards to a woman working being obligatory. Yeah. The only difference is whether they're allowed to work, or not. Period. Now, going to what you're saying,
sometimes they have no choice.
That's my point. So now, the third thing I was going to say is that you mentioned yourself. You're a single mother. May Allah bless you. May Allah help you, and may Allah grant your children, the highest of iman and the highest place in Jannah. Ameen. Right?
Ameen.
And by the way, I can give you a story after of a single mom that accomplished many things, great things. But anyway, so regarding yourself again, like your situation is different now, but your situation is not the general. So we never judge or pass a ruling on something. The ulama never pass a ruling and make it general when it's specific. Yeah, that's very important to understand. So, for example, if pork, it's bab al-darura. It's as out of necessity, if I'm dying and the only thing that's going to make me better and save me is to eat pork, then pork becomes permissible for that second. Whilst I eat it, it doesn't become halal, it becomes permissible, right? Now, I can't go around telling everyone pork is halal. Would that make sense?
Of course. Yeah, it's about it's individual scenarios, isn't it?
No,
individual
it's not that. It's the general.
But that's not what I'm trying to say, though. What I'm trying to say is...
I'm getting to your thing, yeah? I'm getting to trust me. So the general is that it's not obligatory for a woman to work. What's the specific? Only if she is a single mom, widowed, or she has some sort of situation that forces her to work. For example, she lives in a household, she lives with her parents, and her parents are ill and elderly and ill, and they can't do much and whatever, and they got loads of bills, and she's going to have to go out there and work because there's no one else. She ain't got no brothers or nothing. Do you understand? So that makes sense. Now, if she's in that situation and she has to get a job where there may be some limited male interaction, then that is okay, meaning it's not something encouraged. But if she has to do it out of necessity, then it's different. But again, you're talking about the necessity. That's not the general principle. And obviously in seeking knowledge and spreading knowledge, you never give the specific scenario or case as a general case.
To be the general one.
Because it wouldn't make sense.
No, I understand what you're saying. But my question still
I'm agreeing
goes
with you.
to... My question still, and honestly agree with what you're saying, but my question still goes to the free mixing side of it. That what is classed as free mixing? When it comes to speaking to the opposite gender, is that classed as free mixing according to the ulama? Like what is free mixing? How do you define it?
So the free mixing the definition is very clear, and that is dealing with the opposite gender. So now, for example, in a situation, right, in a circumstance, in a situation which is not allowed. So, and whether that means now, for example, look, free mixing can be, you walk on the road, don't you? Yeah? You walk on the street. Now, you may walk past a man. Is that free mixing? Of course it's not. But if you stop now and say, yo, what are you saying, brother? Assalamu alaikum. And he says, wa alaikum assalam, and you start chatting to each other face to face, is that now free mixing?
I don't know. You tell me. Is it free mixing?
I'm asking you.
Asking a brother who you know. Obviously, you wouldn't go to a random stranger brother.
No,
but if you know a brother,
if you're mahram.
No, he's not my mahram. But this is what I'm questioning though. Does the deen tell us that we are not allowed to speak to the opposite gender? Are there times in the time of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba were there not interactions between the Muslims, the women, and the men?
In what,
This is
in
what
what
I'm,
scenario?
and
What
this is
case?
what I'm questioning. This is what I'm questioning because at the end of the day, pre-mixing, as far as I understand, and I could be very, very wrong, because at the end of the day, obviously, I'm not that knowledgeable. But from what I understand and what I've looked into, free mixing is when you're having a social, you're having a social chit chat, getting together and laughing and joking with each other, and the situation, the
No, no.
scenario is quite, it's.
No. I'll give an example. You spoke about the Sahabiyat and the Sahaba, yeah? No problem. Why was hijab revealed? Do you know why? Because Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu said to the Prophet ﷺ, you don't know who's coming here, so there should be some sort of barrier. Then Allah revealed that there should be a hijab. Okay? Right?
But they shouldn't be
Why is that?
recognized. This because the women at the time wanted to, when they used to use the bathroom, they used to want to go and use the bathroom. Sometimes the women used to get embarrassed because the men used to be able to see them. So
That's not the only reason why. Not
but
at
that's
all.
one of
It's-
that's one of the that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons though. That's one of the reasons that are listed, that for them not
But
to be
there are plenty.
recognized.
The point is there are plenty of reasons, and under these reasons now, if we look at what free mixing is, now you're saying if a man stops. Now remember you said about social. You use that word yourself. So if a man stops on it, and by the way, we're not debating here. We're just discussing. If a man stops on the street and he stops a woman, that's not his mahram. It doesn't matter if it's her neighbor. You're not neighbors right there and then, are you? Like you're not talking to that person because they're your neighbor. You just know that person. That is still classified as free mixing. Why? Even if you want to go from your point of view about being social or socializing, is that not socializing?
Brother, you know what? Let's be real. Islam is quite holistic, right? It is holistic. The Prophet ﷺ told us to have good akhlaq. So are you telling me that if I was to say to my non-Muslim neighbor, hi, how are you? Or good morning, how are you? I'm free mixing with him.
No. Let's keep, because you're talking about specifics. Let's
No,
keep it specific.
but no, it's not specific.
One second.
But hold on, brother. This is what generally what people do when you are, whether it's
You
going
made
in
it
your car.
specific again by saying a non-Muslim. I never said a non-Muslim. Did I ever say that? I said, is he your mahram or not? We're talking about a man.
No, he's not my friend.
We're talking about a man.
Yeah.
We're talking about a man. We're not talking about whether he's a Muslim or non-Muslim. That's totally different. We're just talking about a man, a male who's not your mahram. Again, we're talking about the general. Yeah. A man, right? So to say that isn't free mixing, you have to bring forth evidence to prove that it's not free mixing. Because
so hold on. If I ask
Okay.
you, if I say to you, how are you? That's me free mixing with you.
What's
This
the
is
reason
what I'm
for saying
trying to
how?
do. No, I'm just
What's the
asking you.
reason?
Is that the case? Just
Well, so if you told
generally,
me-
you're a brother in
Okay, no
Islam.
problem. No problem.
You're a brother
If
in
you told
Islam.
me-
Okay. For me,
Okay.
I'm just asking again, like we're not debating. It's just a question because at the end of the day, there's lots of people listening to this, and there's a lot of people who are practicing, a lot of people are not practicing, a lot of people who are quite new in the deen. I'm saying this for reference purposes. That when you, from what I understood, there was nothing wrong with asking your brother in Islam how he is. I didn't think that was classed as free mixing because then we shouldn't be doing it. Even then, in that case, sorry.
In what capacity?
Say for example, even if it's work, even for example, or it could be anything. Like I said to you about the neighbor. You have a neighbor. You see this neighbor. You say salam. How are you? Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you? That's it. You move on. You keep it respectful. This is what I meant about the respectful. That at the end of the day, we have been taught that we are a walking, talking kind of with dawah, isn't it? The way that we conduct ourselves, the way that we speak with people, the way that we, show people our etiquettes of, conducting ourselves. This is all dawah. And at the end of the day, even like, I'm not being funny, but even that guy who came on earlier, I don't remember his name now, the one that you were getting annoyed about, the one who wasn't Muslim. You don't know who's going to change in accordance to the ikhlaq that you show them. And this isn't just on men, it's on women as well. So this is what I'm trying to say. Where's the line drawn? Like, where does it say that you cannot say, how are you to somebody else?
So should a woman,
Sorry?
like, let me just ask another question quick, yeah?
Go on.
So if now, for example, there's a woman and she's got a dawah table and she's just chatting to men and women. Do you think that's right?
When you say just chatting, what's she chatting about?
Chatting, me. I said she's got a dawah table. She's giving dawah to people on the street, in the city centre, and men and women are coming to her and she's chatting to all of them. What's your opinion upon that, sister?
My own personal opinion.
Well, what do you think is correct, Tori? Because you're giving your opinion on the situation as
Personally,
well.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Personally, I think when you're there for the there for the sake of dawah, you're there for the sake of giving. Personally, I wouldn't do that anyway. But I'm just saying that if you're giving dawah, your purpose is to convey the message of Islam. The message of Islam is for everyone. It's not just for men. It's not just for men to convey. It's for everyone to convey. This is the understanding that I have. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If, for example, I'm like, yeah, come on, bro, let's go to the restaurant or let's do this, let's do that. Yeah, sorry, that's different.
Can you give me an example, please, of when any of the Sahabiyat, stood in the time of the Prophet ﷺ and said, everyone come, let me give you some dawah and tell them about the religion.
Can't give you an example.
Okay, so when we get that example, then we can answer that question about standing and giving dawah.
But the thing is,
I think you're mixing. Can I say something now, please? I have listened to you.
Yeah.
All right, look. In regards to what you're saying, sister, a woman has something which is called haya. So does a man have haya, right?
Yeah.
But what's the difference between the two? A man has his aura, which is less than the woman's one. Okay? And that's why the scholars differed whether it's, in regards to whether the voice is aura or not. So let's just say, for argument's sake, the voice was aura. Okay? What's the situation now then? So if you've got a beautiful voice and now you're standing on a dawah table, or you're standing and you're meeting a brother on the road that you know of, remember, we never said he's a kafir, non-Muslim. We just said a man. So now you stop. And even if it was a non-Muslim, same thing. If they stop and say, oh, how are you, brother? Assalamu alaikum, how are you, brother? Yeah? Just from let's not use a religion right now. Just from a normal perspective, do you know what happened to that man? And this is what happens to men, because men are men. If a woman, now say, for example, he's married and she's married, he might start thinking, and I know this for a fact because I know hundreds of brothers, and this is mentioned by many ulama as well, that one of the diseases Shaitan puts into a man's heart is that he thinks that when a woman talks to him or looks at him or smiles at him, she's interested in him in a different way. She might be there thinking or innocently, oh, mashallah. So now, you wanted to be specific, but we never got real specific. Is the woman who's standing giving salam to that man married? Because if she is, 100% it's free mixing. There's no way you can prove that that's not free mixing. Because she now
married or not married, but married or not married, if something is correct in Islam, then it's correct. If it's not correct, then it's not correct, whether you're married or not married.
It doesn't work like that. Sometimes rulings, but I'll give you an example, I forget that actually. Sometimes
can I just add, hold on, you mentioned about the aura of the voice of the woman being aura, right? There's a difference of opinion on this, firstly, okay?
That's what I did say.
I know, but
hold on 1 second. One second.
Let me just finish what I was saying, brother.
You will. But the thing is, when you're quoting me, please, innit? Please respect.
I know you said that. Okay, everybody listening, you did say that. Okay, you did say that. You said that
about the women's as well. I said that only if there's necessity. I did say
the fact that there's a difference of opinion on it, and not all the ulama say that a woman's voice is aura, that changes everything in the first place. Okay, now that the Prophet ﷺ's wives, yes, I know that there's narrations to say that when they used to teach the Sahaba, they used to do it from behind a veil, and they also used to put their fingers in their mouth in order to disguise their voices. Yeah.
Which wife did that? Which wife did that? That's a question. You're quoting the hadith.
I think it's Aisha radiallahu anha.
Yeah, it's the wife of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam.
Yeah.
Aisha, the heavyweight when it comes to hadith and knowledge, the scholar of Islam for females. Yeah. She used to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Why did she do that? Sorry.
Because she was told to do that. She was told to do that because so with the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, there's ayat in the Quran, and I can't quote. I'm paraphrasing because I'm not very good at quoting these things. Yeah, it's been a while. But as far as I understand, even the command to wear the niqab was specifically for them, in case that there was a disease in the heart of the man who's listening to her or looking at her.
What scholar says this?
There's ayat in the Quran about it. There's ayat in the Quran about it.
Sister, it's not just about ayat in the Quran. It's about, listen, every single ayah in the Quran, or not every single ayah, but the ayat of the Quran needs a sharh, an explanation. From who?
Yeah, of course.
So we need to understand it.
I can't pull out the book right now, but it's probably in the tafsir that I've read. But I can't pull it out now. Inshallah, if you want the evidence for it and stuff, then I can obviously give you that afterwards. Because I'll have to look into it.
Because in regards to niqab, right? that is something which some of the ulama say is obligatory, and some say that it's not obligatory. They say but everyone agrees that it's an established sunnah. So what you're saying to me, it doesn't really I don't really understand what you're saying to me, innit? Unless you're saying it unless it's written in a way which is a bit different to what you're saying, which is what I believe.
Sorry, can you say that again? Can you repeat yourself again?
So
I'm just reading the comments. I'm just reading the comments, and I'm just saying, sister, we're just having a discussion, sis. It's not about not quoting it. At the end of the day, we're just having a discussion.
Okay.
So please, can you be a bit respectful in the comments as well? Sorry.
All right, sister, look, in this conversation, yeah, right? There's two things that I've said, and you said, I think sometimes you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Let's stick to the main point now, and let's just clear that point, yeah? Whether it's clear with you or not, it's very clear to me. I've never sat with an alim, never sat with anybody who believes that stopping and giving salam to a woman on the street, whether you know her or not, is free mixing, right? Because that means, so what's the difference between... Sorry, bro.
Sorry, so what about like directions?
No, but that's different now, isn't it? There's a reason to answer. She said about social, so that's why I gave the example of stopping and just saying, yo, wagwan sis, you saying you're good though? How's your iman? Like, this is clear free mixing, because this is a social... Again, let's always go back to that principle, yeah? If there's out of necessity, that's different. So, for example, if someone stops you on road and like, yo, I need directions, or there's a woman who needs help. Listen, there was a sister in niqab. I was walking on the street and it was like, I got out of my car and it was icy. She fell onto the floor and nobody was around. No one was around. And I was so scared, like, because she hurt herself. I didn't know what to do, because I can't just be going and touching another woman. So I went over to her and I said, sister, are you able to get her? She said, no, please help me. So I had to hold her from parts that would never go near her body parts, like the other body parts, if you get what I'm trying to say. Right? And why is that?
Necessity, isn't it? Because obviously you wanted to,
But necessity. I don't go around picking up sisters like, yo, what were you saying, man? Throw them in the air. Like, because that's now becomes something which is haram. Free mixing is not allowed. So as much as you want to sugarcoat it,
you still haven't defined what free mixing is.
Sister, remember you said, remember when you spoke, I let you speak. So let me finish in it, please. Yeah, you're the one who came on the live to ask me the question. So it's obvious that you said let me speak and let me answer the question, right? And you're saying I haven't explained it. I've explained what free mixing is interaction with the opposite gender in a situation which isn't necessity. That is what free mixing is. Yeah. If people want to, what do you call it? Like the sister said here, we can't soften the rules. That is a preventative measure. Now, it's not upon you, sister, to go out and give dawah to the whole world. What is upon you is to preserve your haya. So going on a dawah table and giving a dawah to men doesn't make any sense, because
I wouldn't personally do that anyway, by the way.
No, but you said you don't see anything wrong. So let me finish. So now, if a man now gives dawah, I've given dawah on dawah tables. I know brothers. I know all the I-era brothers and etc. You know, even Sheikh Uthman was telling me how many women he gives shahada to that then ask him for marriage. It's a normal thing that if someone's brought you into something that is going to change your whole entire life, you get a special connection. So forget whether the voice is awra. Let's just look at it from that. A woman's giving dawah to a guy, he becomes Muslim, and there are many cases like this where the guy becomes Muslim and she actually ends up marrying him. Why is that?
Can I ask you a question now? What if you turn it around then? What about the brothers who give dawah to sisters?
Sister, I just explained that. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if you're listening to what I'm saying, yeah.